What's going on, Chasers? Jordan Connect here with another episode of Embrace the Chase, where we are interviewing well over 100 entrepreneurs, authors, and speakers over the next year, just to kind of chase after them, learn what has made them successful, and see if they have any tips or advice that can help us along the way. And today, we have two incredible gentlemen here who are cryptocurrency experts. We've got Gary Gilgen, and then Damien, what's your last name, sir? I love it. I love it. And I'm just going to pick their brains to death about cryptocurrency, so much so that you guys are going to learn an absolute ton. But go on ahead, introduce yourselves, gentlemen.
How you doing? I'm Damien. I'm a recently made blockchain developer, math and physics teacher, and investor.
Love it.
And I'm Gary Gilgen, lifetime entrepreneur and cryptocurrency investor.
I freaking love it. So let's just kind of start at the beginning. Can one of you, because I'm not going to do this justice, can you explain briefly what even is cryptocurrency? Because I know a lot of people are vastly confused.
So there have been a lot of internet coins. Before Bitcoin ever existed, before the blockchain ever existed, there were companies that tried to make virtual currencies and distribute them and have people trade with them. And as you might expect, the United States and other powers of the world didn't really like that very much. And they, for instance, the United States has shut down a lot of those businesses with licensing laws. And it's kind of, you cut off the head of the snake and the whole currency dies. And if the business dies, the currency dies. The revolution of the blockchain, the distributed ledger, which we share consensus on, takes the ownership of the network of currency and distributes it. And in that way, it can't be shut down by anything. And a lot of countries around the world are actually making statements saying that you can't confiscate anybody's coins, that there's no reason to even try to destroy crypto or regulate it even, maybe. But we'll see what actually happens.
I like it. So then you're talking about blockchain. Let's start with that. We'll do that as the last definition, I guess. What exactly is a blockchain?
Blockchain is distributed ledger that we share consensus on. When you participate in blockchain by buying into Bitcoin, which runs on its own specific blockchain, you have to, if you want to be a full user, you have to download the entire history of transactions. And that history of transactions is agreed upon by all the users who do this, and also who mine the currency in order to move the network forward, in order to create that consensus.
So just so that I understand, when you say mining, is mining the actual, how do I word this? Is the blockchain a literal program or set of data that literally gets mined, or is it confirming transactions and that's how we get rewarded coin?
A miner basically guesses if the next block goes in the chain. And if that miner is right, that block goes in the chain, it goes in, and the miner gets the rewards that were associated with the fees on the transactions on that block. In the case of Bitcoin, for instance.
Gotcha.
So a miner is someone that's, a miner essentially is a computer that is verifying transactions, and it's also trying to, like Damien said, we're trying to discover the next algorithm within the next block. And once that algorithm is discovered, then the miner receives the tokens. But I mean, even what you just said really opened my. You see, my viewpoint is in evolution, and all technology is created for the conscious evolution of humanity. And so, for the past 2,000 years, humanity has been literally controlled by the information that it's been given by churches and by states. So by governments, by churches. Because 2,000 years ago, 99.9% of the people on the planet did not know how to read. So all the information that they got about the world around them came to them from the church and from the king. And so what we've done is we've gone through this timeline of humanity and evolution. And so then you have Guggenheim, which created the printing press, which was technology that started to decentralize information. So if I had a opposing view of what the church was saying, I can now create a book and I could spread that book out and I could start reprogramming the masses to start questioning the information that they were getting. And then in about 1961, that's when the internet was first born. And then we have this next phase of evolution. And the internet has decentralized information to the point where every single person, we're recording this on my phone, so I went to grab my phone, I didn't have it. Every person in 2017, at least in America, has a supercomputer at their hands. And that supercomputer has a camera and a video recorder. So if Donald Trump or some other politician or someone that's in a high position of power is doing something that's corrupt, well, all we got to do is videotape it and put it on this thing called the internet, and it's decentralized information. But also what it's done is it's created a new language. Okay, you've got JavaScript, you've got CSS, you've got all these languages that people like me, I don't understand it, but I know that Damien understands these different languages. And that's how we express information, we pass information to help other people evolve, is through language. And so with blockchain, cryptocurrency and blockchain technology is the next evolution. It's the next technological evolution in the conscious evolution of humanity. And so where the Guggenheim Press and the internet decentralize information, cryptocurrency is decentralizing money. Because there's only really two ways that let's just call them the elites, have any way to manipulate the masses, through the information that you take in through your ears and your eyes, and through the money. Because money is a survival tool. With money, you can buy food, clothing, shelter, transportation, energy, everything you need to maintain and to take your life to the next level. Where if I have power over your money, Jordan, and I tell you how much your money's worth, what you can and cannot do with your money, I literally have control over your life. And so these technologies are evolutionary tools in the conscious evolution of humanity. And so the best analogy I've heard is that most people do not understand the details of how a jet engine works. But they will literally risk their life to get on a jet plane and travel around the world every day, having no understanding of how a jet engine works. Same thing with blockchain technology. I have no idea. I'm an investor. I'm a speculator, I'm a hedger. But as far as like techie type guy, and I'm a philosopher. I look at evolution, I look at things like that. Whereas like I have Damien on my team, which I give credit because Damien understands the language in which that technology works. And so cryptocurrency and blockchain technology, it's an evolutionary tool that is not only currently changing the planet and already has, but it is going to change the world over the next 5 to 10 years greater than any other technology that's ever been created by humanity. Because every technology, the press, the printing press, the internet, and cryptocurrency, every new technology is exponentially more powerful than the preceding technology. So cryptocurrency is the newest technology on the planet, and it's going to create more change, more freedom, more prosperity on the planet than anything that's ever been created in humanity.
And I believe that is what we're doing here, is we're reforming our technology to adhere to a set of standards that's better, one that we agree upon in particular. And I think that because of what Gary's saying, that the most valuable things in this space will be the things that link us together, the ones that truly take humanity and evolve it, take the technology and evolve it. And those are the things I'm interested in, is how blockchain can do that for us, how sharing consensus of anything can help us do better at everything.
There's no more lying. There's no more lying in the new world. There's total radical transparency. And that's good for everybody. Like, everybody's grasping onto their privacy and all this stuff. In the new world, the digital virtual world that we're...
Oh, no. There we go.
Okay. So in the new world that we're all a part of, there's radical transparency. So there is total privacy, yet there's total radical transparency. And that's what the blockchain does. Is it records everything that has ever happened, and it's verified through countless verification processes. So if I run a business in the new world, if I run a business and I'm a scoundrel, if I take advantage of people or anything like that, it's on the internet. Everybody knows about it, and everybody will be like, "Oh, I'm not doing business with Gary. He takes advantage of people." That's the world we're moving into, is where we can trust everybody. Because I believe that at our core, everybody wants love, everybody wants acceptance, everybody wants truth, but we're so afraid of one another that we put up these masks and these veils, you know? Whereas in this new world with radical transparency, it's like I know who to hang out with, who to talk to, and I know who's a scoundrel. And so it's already changing the world, and it's going to continue. I'm telling you, I just had a meeting earlier today. Just in the past month, I have seen this space grow more in the past month than over the past year and a half, because it's exponential growth. Rather than 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, it's 1, 2, 4, 8, 16, 32. So it's growing so fast. So a year from now, this space is going to be so radically different.
So it's funny you mention that, because I want both of your opinions on this. To put this in perspective for a lot of you watching, what's there, like 8 billion people in the world now? The most recent statistic that I read, about 5 million people are active users in cryptocurrency. So a fraction of a percent of the world is even doing this. And to throw even more numbers into perspective, when he's saying it's 2, 4, 8, 16, 3 years ago, the total market cap of dollars invested in cryptocurrency was around $7 billion. As of the beginning of this year, correct me if I'm wrong, gentlemen, I think it was 17 billion. And as of yesterday, it's like 170 billion in 10 months. Like, what are your thoughts on that? Because that's nowhere even near Apple's worth. And we're talking money, currency. Like, this is gonna...
Microsoft is 700.
And how long has Apple been in business?
1980, yeah.
Yeah, so it's taken, I'm 35, so it's taken at least 35 years for Apple to get a market cap of 800 billion. I'm here to tell you, cryptocurrency as a market, I mean, we're talking 10 to 100 trillion dollars.
And when you say 10 to 100 trillion, all right, granted, let's take a time out here. For everybody watching, I am not a financial planner. Do not take my advice. Do not take any of their advice. They are not financial planners. This is all our opinion, complete speculation, just our thoughts, okay? But based on y'all's opinion, what do you think the time frame would be for the currency market to hit a trillion, to hit 10 trillion, et cetera, et cetera? You think 3, 4, 5 years?
It's going to take somebody actually making it accessible to people.
So would you say
That makes sense.
Electroneum's going to do that with their 2.2 billion focus
One step.
on mobile
It's
users?
one section.
I think most people get really excited about cryptocurrency because they see like what I can trade, currencies, I can trade stocks or whatever on my phone, like, which they probably could have done before anyway. But it's that idea that, oh, now I can access this, that will cause mass adoption. I think that in terms of dollars, like gold is a $9 trillion industry or something like that, right? Somewhere around there. That's $9 trillion is a lot higher than 150 billion.
Yeah.
That's all I'm gonna say.
But it's, again, going back to exponential growth. So this year alone, because I mean, your numbers are pretty spot on. So in the beginning of the year, we're roughly 17 billion. And right now today, yeah, we're about $170 billion. So that is, that's a huge, factor of growth. So I think I, from my predictions, and again, I'm definitely not here to give any sort of financial advice, but my predictions are pretty good. A year ago, I made a prediction that cryptocurrency, Bitcoin specifically, would, because I was a big precious metals investor for 10 years, and I predicted that Bitcoin would surpass gold in price this year, and it's almost doubled it. So I think you've hit the nail on the head, Jordan. I personally, my prediction, again, caveat, is that I think, yeah, 3 to 5 years, we're going to be at $1 trillion, and that it's just going to take off, because I have a theory, and I did a presentation probably about 6 weeks ago on I have a theory that there's 3 phases of all technology. Okay, the first phase is what's called the early adopters, and those are the people that are actually building the technology. Okay, the second phase is mass information. That's where the masses are being informed about the new technology. And phase 3 is where the masses are now adopting the technology and they use it. So I remember even, let's say 10, 11 years ago, having conversations with my dad. My dad, there's no way I would ever use online banking. That's a scam. They're going to get my password. Now everybody uses it. We can't live without it. I remember my first cell phone was back even in high school, 16 years old. Nobody was talking about cell phones or anything like that. Now nobody calls them cell phones, but we cannot live without this technology. And so the same thing. And so every phase is half the time as the previous phase. And so the first phase was 8 years. We just started phase 2 this year. So this year will be roughly 4 years at the most, and then phase 3 will be 2 years. But to answer your question is, once we hit the exponential growth curve, there will be so much money, and I see money as economic energy, that where people will be cashing in 401ks, cashing in mutual funds as we get to that exponential growth, because they will get out of the old technology, which is the dollar, and they'll be rushing into the new technology, which is cryptocurrency. And so we're going to go from 1 trillion to 100 trillion overnight.
So then, question for you. You talked about how you used to invest in precious metals. If you could help me understand this and even other people, my understanding is that an altcoin is an alternative coin to Bitcoin because it is the dominant coin. So essentially, its value, and I understand the values are factored differently with market cap, etc., but its value is usually, even on Market Coin or whatever it's called, that website, is backed by it's worth X amount of Bitcoin. But can you guys somehow quantify for me what is the difference between an altcoin and is Bitcoin more like our gold? Is Ethereum more like our silver? Like, what exactly is the difference with all this?
I don't like that word.
Alt.
Yeah.
Well, the important thing, I think, is which coin you have to go through to get that coin. It's like you have to buy Bitcoin to buy a lot of these coins, or you have to buy Ethereum with fiat. So that's kind of what makes them alts, because you can't directly purchase them with fiat. You can't really trade them against fiat, at least not directly. And it also makes it less adopted because apps like Coinbase don't support them. You can't just buy from your phone. You have to actually transfer your Bitcoin to an exchange and then buy the coin, or just transfer it to them, or whatever you have to do. But anyway, it's not a very easy process. It's really not going to be a process that.
So would you say an altcoin is like a stock? Would you say an altcoin is more like a stock then? Like if you're trying to like compare it to something?
I would say that it's this is the new way of investing. So I use the term units. So if I buy 1 unit of Bitcoin, what I'm doing is I'm actually buying 1 unit of participation in that network or in the underlying technology. Whereas if I buy 1 unit of what's called Vertcoin, okay, I'm just participating in that underlying technology. So it's kind of like it's a more liquid form of a share in, let's say, Apple, Samsung, anything like that, where they're still liquid, but I would have to call my broker and say, I want to liquidate my position, and then I got to take all this time, and they're probably going to send me a check and just all this freaking BS, for me to liquidate my position. It's ownership is ownership.
Mm-hmm.
And so with these new projects, these ICOs, what they've done is they've created coins which represent a unit or a share in the underlying technology. Because I think that's where a lot of people get lost, is that it's so much more than money. It's a whole wave of new technology, and you're investing in the technology. And just like we were talking about, any share, I can sell Apple, Samsung, Facebook, any share I own, I can liquidate that position. It's the same thing with crypto, but it's decentralized. So anybody and everyone around the planet, 8 billion people, can freely participate in investing in these projects, in these technologies, and they can liquidate the position just as easily as selling a piece of gold or silver.
Well, yeah, when you have stock and you want to liquidate that, you got to find somebody to buy the stock. Just like when you have cryptocurrency, you want to liquidate that, you got to find someone to buy it from you. I see, just like stocks are kind of buying into the community of the company, like you become a shareholder. I see buying coins as becoming part of their network, which is this sovereign entity in the virtual nation space we've created with cryptocurrencies that will be recognized and is currently being recognized by governments around the world. And basically staking your claim in that government, in that coin.
So
my real estate in that coin, and I hold this position, I hold this land in this coin, basically.
So then to seek further clarification on what you're saying, right now there's Spanish dollars, Great Britain has the pound, we have the United States currency. Within our nation, we can trade it for whatever we want. So just so that, I guess from my understanding, if you can dive a little bit deeper in this, I'm going to talk about Electroneum just because it's like Bitcoin right now. It's what a lot of people have heard because it's one of the largest ICOs, but Electroneum is wanting to focus on the gaming space, video gaming. So what you're saying is it's almost like the currency for an industry. And when people buy into that, am I understanding that properly? Like each coin is a specific industry that we decide what it's based for or what it's worth?
Well, industries are adopting blockchain technology basically and saying like, hey, there are a lot of benefits to taking this application we have, this project we have, and actually putting it on the blockchain. And I think almost every industry will be either on or influenced by a blockchain soon. I mean, just like every industry is influenced by computers today. When we reform our technology, that technology is And when that technology is ubiquitous, then we're, ubiquitously performing. But yeah, I would say that industries are definitely creating chains to benefit from this whole thing.
Let's look at it like this. When a company goes public and they release an IPO, what they're saying is that, hey, we want some funding to further expand our business. But with an IPO, they have to go through a middleman, a broker, the New York Stock Exchange, Goldman Sachs, whoever's actually selling the coins or the shares, I should say. But with this new way, the new world, you can release an ICO. So rather than having any middleman, because that's the thing about decentralization, is that decentralization is getting rid of middlemen. And so rather than going through the strenuous process of an IPO, going through middlemen, I can say, hey, I have this idea. I want to take this idea to the masses. If you're interested in the idea, you can invest in the idea, and in exchange for that, you can buy these units, shares, coins. It's a word they're all synonymous. It's one word that means the same thing, but with cryptocurrency, it's liquidity, that people can spend them just like cash, and that's what's just phenomenal.
I have a question for both of you. Your opinion, again, I'm gonna phrase this properly. Your opinion. We're in the Wild West right now. There are tons of people, ICO here, ICO here, ICO here. Do you all invest into ICOs? If you do, what are the things that you personally specifically look for? Because I've heard people say, I'm only going to invest in an ICO if it's got a proven team, a rock star team. However, even Bitcoin is anonymous. So what exactly is something that, do you even invest in ICOs, or you stick more towards Bitcoin?
For all of my investments, I try to think of why is this technology going to be useful to people, and why are people going to keep buying this past right now? Like, a bunch of us are going to buy the ICO or buy it as soon as it hits exchanges, trying to make money. But the ones that are really going to make money are the ones who buy, and then 10 years from now, 5 years from now, they're holding on to something that truly has valuable to people, that people have been using for that amount of time. So the ICOs that I would invest in are the ones that seem like they're going to be around in 5 years.
That's a good point.
And even if we look back in time, we see the dot-com bubble. At the peak of the dot-com bubble is a mirror reflection of what's going on right now. The dot-com phase of investing was a new technology, and rather than having ICOs, they had IPOs. And the best example I use is Pets.com. Pets.com had no underlying utilitarian value, but it was valued at, I believe, over $1 billion when it went public. And then at the crash, a lot of the IPOs that had no real utilitarian value went broke. And that's going to happen as we go into phase 3, because you hit the nail on the head, Jordan, is that we're in the Wild West. There's everybody and their grandma has an idea for an ICO, and everybody's releasing a coin, but time will weed out all of the non-valuable coins. That's what we invest in. I think that I can speak for Damien. Our number one value is freedom, and like Damien said, is sovereignty, not only for ourselves but for everybody.
Amen.
I think that that's like what millennials, that's what they really truly value, is freedom and abundance and sovereignty. And the old world that we used to live in, it's based on greed and corruption and manipulation and secrets and all this type of stuff. that it doesn't resonate with us. And so I believe that we've created this technology so that we can move on, and so it can reflect our values.
I have a dirty question to ask both of you because I know it's an industry that's kind of frowned upon. But I'm going to explain to you my understanding of it, and then I want you to either correct me or explain it differently. So, Bitconnect and soon to be Fconnect. Now, my understanding of it is, and for those of you who have no idea what I'm talking about, it's a lending software. You essentially take your Bitcoin, you give it to this platform in a wallet, they exchange it to their personal coin, so Bitconnect coins, and then you have the option to lend it to them, and they lock your principal balance, and they guarantee you, it's not really guaranteed, but 1% interest daily. So essentially, if I give them 20 grand, at the end of 120 days, I have about $40,000. Now, here's my question for you all. When I first see that, that's sketchy. I've never seen that before because I'm in banking. My antennas are up, but at the same time, from my understanding of economics, it kind of makes sense because the price goes up when more people are buying and less of it selling. And if the platform itself is holding on to all of their own coins, because you lend it to them and they hold on to it, there's more people buying than selling. So in your opinion, is it even sustainable? Is this a Ponzi scheme? Is it something you guys shy away from? Or am I completely foolish and I don't understand how this works?
I think we're going to be able to play like devil's advocate. So you go first.
You
Well,
look angry.
Definitely shy away from Bitconnect in particular, just because of people, just because of the sentiment that it was not legitimate, that it was a scam. I mean, if people are thinking that, then might as well stay away. But I think it's an example of how when the internet essentially takes control of the financial system, that we're going to have this explosion of innovation, different ways that people can make money with these lending schemes that, hey, maybe they work for some people and they don't work for some people, or some work and some don't. I'm sure that's the case. But in terms of Bitconnect, I mean, I'm really unsure. I really don't know.
Sure.
I love it.
Night and day. Night and day.
Yeah. And going off what Damien says, I believe that you said it too, Jordan, is that it makes sense, but it's counterintuitive to the way that we've done things. And as an investor and as an entrepreneur, I'm always looking for something that's going to produce passive income. So if I can, because me, I have a certain amount of cryptocurrency that I'm sitting on, and if I can actually use that and get a return on it, then I like that. And I believe that there is a growing trend. It's been growing for a long time, and it's very lucrative, and that's micro lending.
Yeah.
And I see Bitconnect, Royal Coin, these type of lending platforms that are able to do micro lending, and they're able to just lending in general and in a decentralized form, is I see that it is a phenomenal opportunity to just capitalize even further on the current space.
I like it. I mean, I probably taboo and Damien's probably going to judge me, but I also use Bitconnect. But here was my thought process behind it. Put in my principal. Once I get my principal out and the daily interest payments, I take my principal and I run because mentally I have my principal and now I'm playing with house chips. And if it continues to work for another 2 years and it grows to 100 grand, 200 grand, it wasn't my original investment to begin with. So that's just the way I look at it, in my opinion. I don't continuously fund like my retirement into Bitconnect. I agree with you. That would be foolish because they could disappear tomorrow.
But it sounds like you've done some calculating on it. And what did you say? It was roughly how many days until you had recuperated the initial principal?
Well, it depends how much you put in. So I'm taking a huge risk right now and hoping to get the investment back, $5,000, get the investment back within 179 days. Now, the way that works is it takes probably about 3.5 months, closer to 4 months, for the actual principal to come back.
And see, we actually own a decentralized hedge fund,
Hmm.
and for me, it's too long. To me, long term in crypto is 30 days. So there are too many opportunities for in what'd you say? How long again? 5,000 you hope to recuperate the principal in how long?
So the way the software broke it down, it's 179 days to get your principal released back to you, but you gain the principal back in interest-bearing payments. It was like 110 days then maybe.
So, I mean, I believe that there are opportunities every week. I mean, you're not going to hit a home run every time, but I mean, we're talking hundreds of percent ROI every week, every day. I mean, I'm sure I could pull up coinmarketcap.com, and there's a coin that got 100% return today. So for me, that is the only
Downside.
I have with these lending platforms is that it takes too long. Because I'm the same way. Whenever I invest in any business, whenever I invest in anything, the first question is, how long is it going to take for me to get my seed money out? And then how long am I planning on have the house chips? And for me in crypto, it's 100 days, 170 days. It's too long. I'm looking for, I mean, I've gotten, 500, 1,000% return in a weekend. So to me, it's too long.
Well, it's no doubt that a bunch of people made money with Bitconnect. I mean, it went up 100,000 people who were in it before made that money, and there are going to be a lot of opportunities in the crypto space because it's so new and so accessible to people to make that kind of money. And I mean, personally, I would rather invest than gamble. I would rather believe in the thing that I'm putting my money into, especially in the crypto space, than think like maybe this will work for 30 days and then I'll get my money out and then I'll be okay. I would rather invest in something that I can see the future of 5 years from now, that it's going to be adopted and it's going to still be around and worthwhile.
That makes sense. So then you're more of like, obviously, when you say investing, you mean long term, but you truly do mean long term, not 30, 60 day trying to get your money back and double it. You're more, I believe in this. I know this is going to change an industry. I'm going to hold these coins and potentially.
I don't think you have to always think that way, but it's definitely a safe way to get into it anyway. To maybe hold most of your portfolios. But the thing is, if you bought Bitcoin in 2013 on the spike, you had to wait until this year to make money on it, and there's no reason why we aren't in the same scenario now. Anyone who buys now, maybe they have to wait a year, 2 years to make money on it. We don't know. But that can happen. And so, yeah, if you think you're confident for 5 years in the future that Bitcoin's still going to be around, that Ethereum's still going to be around, then, those are the safe bets.
I think there's too much opportunity in this space to have to take a lot of risk. Like Damien was saying, is as long as you can do your research and you can really discover you're looking for, just like Damien said, you're looking for the projects that are going to change the world long term. The Apple, the Amazon, the eBay, the PayPal. That's what we do. Is we're looking for those long term. That it's paradigm. It's going to change the paradigm of the planet. But in the meantime, we're always looking for like the Bitconnects. How can I get 100 to 1,000% return in 30 days while I'm waiting for my long-term plays to mature?
So then, question for y'all, roughly, and if you don't feel comfortable answering this question, don't. But roughly, how much of your portfolio are you holding and believing in what it could potentially become, and how much are you actually investing? And of that you're investing, is it more of, I've studied this one and I feel like it's going to go up and I'm going to sell, or are you using BitConnects, UCI Techs, etc.?
Well, when you say investing, I think holding.
Okay.
Because when you're investing, you're putting faith into the project, and you're holding onto those coins, and those are invested coins. Any coins that you're messing around with, you're trading.
That makes
And
sense.
we definitely don't hold everything.
I like it.
You know, some things, you know, there's a flavor of the week coin every week, flavor of the month coin, and it's up to you to decide whether those are going to be still relevant. But I mean, when the market does this, it's hard when it drops. It's hard not to, you know, take the opportunities. Like, of course you want to do that.
Sure.
So, I mean, and then sometimes in the crypto space, you end up holding for a long time because, say, you're invested in an ICO and you're 90 days out on making any money in that, you know, that
Sure.
happens. Anyway,
You're good. So we'll pivot right here because I'm a complete fool and I forgot that my recording software, guys, only does 45 minutes. So we're at 39 minutes, 31 seconds. So I'm going to ask you guys one last question, and I would love to have you on the show again, either next week or in a couple weeks, whatever you guys would like to do, because I can talk about this all day. But last question for y'all, 5 minutes and 20 seconds. What's on your guys' mind right now, or on your heart, or really just anything that you want people to know, either about you, about the space, just last thoughts?
just look at where we're at now, compare it to where the rest of technology is at. Like, people talk about the tech bubble, the dot-com boom or whatever bursting, but I encourage you, go look at what the graphs of the valuation of those companies has been since the 80s. Look at it, and you can clearly see that they're at their all-time highs today. There's no such thing as the burst. So, you know, do your research.
I like it.
Yeah, and I guess mine would be that the world is changing faster than ever before. And 10 years from now, the world is going to be so radically different from where it is right now. So it's really time that we need to really start opening our minds. We need to start opening our hearts to the infinite possibilities that there are, that things can radically change in a short period of time. And just to have that faith, to live with just an open mind, an open heart, and just allow things to happen, because you just never know. And the world is going to be so different 10 years from now. It's going to be nuts.
It's so true. I mean, what was it? 2008 was when Facebook really became a big thing. It's hard for
Yeah.
me to remember life before cell phones and Facebook. Like,
Yeah.
so you mean you're hitting it spot on. But gentlemen, I really appreciate you being on and sharing your wealth of knowledge. Like I said, would love to have you guys on again. For all of you, I'm going to link their bios or websites, anything down below. Definitely go check them out. Definitely go follow them, pick their brains. Awesome, awesome gentlemen. What you see here is who they truly are off camera. Classy guys. So thank you guys so much. I really appreciate you. And you all, I will see you next time on Embrace the Chase.
Thanks, Jordan.
See you.